Welcome back, folks. So in this video, we're going to do a little bit of experimenting. And so the last week I was at a fly-in called CEF down in Americus, Georgia, and it's where 200 plus pilots show up and fly their electric airplanes. One of the nice things about this particular fly-in is the runway is the best I've ever flown off of. It's basically like a driving range, about 2,000 feet long, probably 150 feet wide, or maybe even wider. And it's an electric fly-in that happens every year. But the wind is kind of always constantly coming out of one direction unless a front's coming through. And for my experiment to work, I needed to be able to fly basically straight into the wind and stall my airplane. So in this video, I'm taking my MSL-2, which was a plane I designed quite a few years back. And the wing on it, the first wing was just a Hershey bar type wing. And I didn't necessarily like that. And I actually never even flew it with that wing because I hated it so bad. But in a program called CompuFoil, I had found that they had a wing design that you could kind of alter, change the airfoils and stuff. So basically, make a long story short, the first 25% of the wing had a smaller chord, thinner airfoil, and then the rest of the wing got larger. If you don't know what I'm talking about on this, you can look at one of my videos on the MSL-2 and you'll get what I'm talking about. But hopefully in this video, you'll see some examples. So my theory is having a shorter chord on the inside 25% and a thinner airfoil that would stall before the outer wing, which means the plane would just kind of mush over, and I always had aileron control. So when I started flying the airplane, I got that exact kind of feedback. Unless I did an aggravated stall, the ailerons were always pretty much in control of the wing. So if you don't know the MSL, let me go to this. The MSL-2 is a 188-inch wingspan electric airplane. It's got a Hacker A100, which is about 9 horsepower. It pulls about 6,000 watts at takeoff on 10S2P. And I have over 100 flights on it now. But that wing design there, in theory, the inboard part of the wing would stall first. The plane's a beast. It's absolutely fun to fly. It's basically a big trainer. It's got a cubed wing loading really, really low. And it is just an absolute beautiful airplane to fly. So what I decided to do was take yarn and put the yarn on the wings so that I could put a camera on the tail looking forward and see what happens to the yarn. So when the yarn is straight back, and you'll see in a minute with some video, it means that essentially the wing is, there's no flow separating from the top of the wing, okay? So what we're gonna do here is look at a video, and this is me taking off. This is the first takeoff for this experiment. And you see all the yarns pretty much straight back. Now you can see a couple of places around the ailerons and stuff when they deflect that the yarn's going to separate, and that's normal. But if you look over mostly the wing here, this is pretty much a wing that is not stalling. The very inboard trailing edge, you can see a little bit of separation once in a while, but that's pretty much it, not stalling. Now in this video here, I'm going to make a turn to the left. And one thing I want you to notice is just briefly there, the inside section of the left wing did stall a little bit. If you remember my videos talking about how people crash airplanes turning base to final, that's a little bit of an example right there of the inboard wing wanting to stall. Now, I'll show you more of that in a little bit. But here is the first stall that I wanted to bring up. Now, keep in mind, at first, I didn't know how I was going to get this to work the best. But see, there you can see without a doubt the wing stalled. You notice I kicked the ailerons around a little bit. I still had some aileron control. So it wasn't a deep stall. Okay, let's look at this in slow motion. And essentially, I needed to do more slow flight. I was just trying to do stalls at first until I could verify on my video what was going on. It kind of taught me what the second flight should be. And right now we're looking at the first flight. But you can without a doubt see the inside section of that wing is stalling before the outboard. Now on the right hand side over there, when I'm deflecting the ailerons, that does disrupt it a little bit. But if you look out at the tips, the last two yarn strands were completely straight until the wing completely stalled. But what's interesting here is as the nose starts to come down, watch the tufts of yarn out at the wingtips. And as they start to become straight again, I get a aileron authority back. So here it's coming down. And as you watch the yarn on the right, it's already straight. I kick in the ailerons. And even though the left wing is still stalled a little bit, the right wing is flying enough for the ailerons. Now the left wing's flying. But if you notice that was a pretty deep stall there. But I never really had the plane do anything except just pitch down on me. Now we're going to look at a turn. And this turn is at 50% speed. But I want you to watch what happens to the inboard left section of the wing as I'm going around this turn. You'll see a couple of the strands move around a little bit. Right there, just a little bit. And that was not a stalled turn at all. I mean, I didn't have anything except me, and it might have been turbulence because it's kind of windy, but that is pretty much a normal turn without much separation at all. There was a little bit of a quiver on the left, but nothing that was really, you know, that would tell me I was really too slow in the turn. So here's stall number 2. In stall number 2, you know, keep in mind, I didn't know what to do in these until I reviewed the video. So I needed to do more slow flight, but that was a pretty good stall right there. Now, I'm trying to do some of these stalls where I turn a little bit because I'm trying to get one of the wings to drop. This is that stall 2 in slow motion. Definitely see the inboard stalling first, and then it kind of propagates out across the left wing because the left wing was a little bit lower. One thing I've learned is a lower wing is stalling a little bit quicker. But now you notice that right wing stalled while the left wing was coming back. It just takes a little bit of airflow with this really, really light cubed wing load to have the ailerons work. Okay, now here I'm kicking the ailerons right, trying to see if I can recover the plane, and the wing was just a little bit too stalled. And then I decided just to continue my turn to the left. But look how fast the right wing's flying there, the left wing's not flying yet. See, I've not dropped the nose enough to completely break the entire wing from stalling. Even though I had control of the airplane and the plane was flying, there was still a massive part of that left wing stalled. Okay, now here's turn 3, and I want you to notice really how much the inboard, I was slow and I'm really cranking back on it, but look how much that left wing stalled in that turn. If this would have been a standard wing, I think the plane might have rolled on its back. Let's look at that in slow motion. Now this is demonstrating it. Notice my nose is right at the horizon, so I've got a pretty pitched up nose right here, and I'm pulling the nose up, entering the turn. I'm down to about a quarter power, and I'm trying to see if the plane is going to stall on the turn. And the crazy thing is, this wing never completely stalls in the turn, even though a whole bunch of that left inboard wing is stalling right there. The yarn out at the wingtip never completely separates, so I've got just enough to keep it flying. If this was like a P-47 wing or a P-51 wing, I think it would have been rolling on its back right there at the speed I was at. So that's the reason you always got to be so careful about airspeed turning base to final. It's just imperative. Now this is going to be stall number 3 of the first flight, and this is a really aggravated stall. I pitched the nose way up, and if you look for a minute on the left-hand wing, you see the plane actually slid backwards a little bit in that. Let's watch that in slow motion. So I really wanted to do an aggravated stall just to see what the wing looked like. And this is me flying along. I go to full power here. I start to do a pretty hard pitch up. My telemetry told me I was doing about 51 mile an hour level right there, which is pretty close, but that's ground speed, not airspeed, because it's a GPS. And when you watch the wing really just starts right here, it's stalling, but watch the yarn on the left hand by the aileron. You'll see it facing forward, but it's right there, stuck to the wing. I'm sliding backwards a little bit as it stalls, and then I fall through it. But you know what's really cool about this? The plane never ever wanted to spin on me. I never got a stall that I could not just instantly fly out of by just letting off the elevator. I mean, that's the beauty of this wing, okay? Now look, I know your mileage might vary. I know there's gonna be a lot of conjecture in what you're seeing here. I know there's a lot of people 100 times more smarter than me out there, and that's awesome. I love your input. But this is just a fun experiment here, okay? This is just for people to see wings stalling, okay? I'm not as smart as some of you geniuses out there. This is just for us all to have fun, okay? So this is going to be flight number 2 takeoff. Now notice when I take off, everybody, I keep my airspeed up, keep my nose at a nice climb, and if you notice, nowhere is this wing really wanting to stall. Okay, I've seen people take off where the plane's mushing all the time, and that's not the way I fly this airplane. I mean, it's a 61-pound airplane, and it flies like a glider. Well, like a trainer to me, okay? Here's another turn, and this was kind of a pretty sharp, tight turn, if I remember right. Yep, see, look how much of the left wing is stalling. And I'm not losing control of the airplane because those very outside pieces of yarn never separate. So now we're going to look at a little bit of slow flight. This is where I'm trying to get the plane as slow as I can without pulling it into a real heavy stall. These are very mild stalls here, but this is slow flight. And if you notice, the wing that is always lower is stalling more. See, it fell through right there, but I'm instantly flying as soon as I let up the elevator. Okay? This is slow flight number 2. And this is me just playing around with the airplane. It's the most predictable and forgiving wing I've ever flown. And it just, when it mushes over, I mean, the left wing, you can see it's mushing over some there, but I don't ever completely lose control of aileron in this turn. Okay? And then we have slow flight number 3. And basically here, you know, you start to see the inboard sections starting to move around a little bit. Now, one thing to notice on the left-hand wing is anytime the aileron deflects, it does really affect what's going on the top of the wing. And see here, I was just rocking the plane and I never completely lost. You don't ever see the ailerons. Let's watch, hang on a minute. Let's watch this one again. You never see the ailerons except earlier in that aggravated stall where I've got the ailerons cranked the other direction that it's really moving a lot. So here, you know, I'm playing around. I'm also on the rudder trying to hold heading too. And notice here I got a little bit of right aileron, so my right there drops a little bit when I got opposite aileron, but right now notice I'm recovering with the aileron. So the moment I break the stall, the ailerons are instantly controlling the wing. Okay, let's look at this in slow motion again. So watch the right aileron. You can see it's deflected as it starts to turn a little bit. So right here, I'm commanding it with the aileron, and the wing's not stalling. Okay. Now I'm starting to get a little bit of the inboard part starting to stall. I've got a little bit of right aileron that I'm starting to crank in here a little bit, but the wing's starting to stall, so the aileron's not completely it's probably not as effective as I would be if the wing was less stalled. But keep in mind, I still have control of this wing because the outside tips are not stalled yet. And now you'll notice I'm starting to stall the entire left wing here. I'm holding in more right aileron. Well, the left wing's not stalling now. There was just a little puff there. And then right here, the left wing's really starting to have all of it go haywire. So right here, the left wing is stalled because I got right aileron. Left wing's dropping. Now watch right then, you can see the wicks of yarn on the left-hand wing outboard are straight again, which means I've got control of that wing. The right wing stalled a little bit, but now I crank the aileron the other direction. So it's really interesting how this wing behaves, everybody. I mean, never do I feel like the plane is not accepting the commands I'm giving it. Now I want to show you some fun with landing, okay? So here's a landing, and I purposely bounced the airplane because I'm trying to get full stall landings here. So let's watch landing 1 in slow motion here. So I'm coming down, and I'm really holding the nose up here. I'm really holding the nose up. You're starting to notice the inside portions of the wing are really starting to aim like outward. And now they're starting to move around. They're starting to stall. It's starting to separate. If you notice, the outside tips of the wing are still flying fine. Okay, and right about Here, the left, nope. Oh yeah, right there. The whole wing basically starts to let go. I touch down. I've got great suspension on this airplane, so I'm not afraid of hurting it. Okay, so that was my first landing. And then we have the second landing. And this landing is pretty fun because I get a really good full stall landing on this. So watch the yarn. I'm holding it off. I'm holding it off. Notice how high my nose is above the horizon. I mean, my tail wheel's almost on the ground. Tail wheel's almost on the ground. Notice I'm pitching up more to get a full stall landing. And right there, the whole wing stalls and the plane plops down. And my suspension really is a hell of a design, isn't it? You can even see where the camera and everything shook the tail. I mean, this is just some of the coolest video I've ever shot in one of my tests, folks. I love doing this. Okay, so what I want to do is look at a still for a minute of the deep stall I did. You can see the wicks of, you can see the yarn on the left wing at the aileron. They're all facing toward the nose of the airplane because this whole plane was sliding to the left. It wasn't quite a hammerhead, but it was completely, really, it was fascinating. I've never had the plane do a tail slide, and it would scare me to death if I did, because I didn't build this airplane for any type of aerobatics. Loops and hammerheads are really only thing I do with it. And then here is a picture of the wing really stalled, and I just absolutely love seeing all that yarn just move around in all different directions. And if you look at the right hand side, the yarn's actually just standing up off the surface of the wing there. I mean, that to me is just the coolest screen grab I've ever done. So that's it, folks. So the thing that I'm wanting to do with my model aviation, and this is just my own experiences, okay? I know there's going to be a ton of people out there that has a lot of thoughts on this. I love the thoughts. Be nice and be kind, because the coolest thing about YouTube is I can mute you. So if you come in as a troll and start sharing all kinds of stuff, you can say, oh, Dag, you don't want a good debate. Actually, I don't want a good debate. I mean, if you want to debate me, let's get emails and share and talk about things. Because what scares me is in your debate, you may have all kinds of things that are completely inaccurate, and other people are reading it and they're going to learn because you're a douchebag. And sometimes trolls are like that, okay? And I'm just trying to be honest with you. I don't try to share anything that's not my own experience or what I've learned. Okay, now I might say the wing's stalling at a certain point and maybe it's not. I might be a little bit wrong. So what? Okay, but I want everybody who watches my videos to get a takeaway that they can apply to having a kick-ass time with RC model aircraft. Okay, so that's one reason. If you're a troll, there's just no need for you. I'll mute you. It's that simple. And that's the cool thing of the power of YouTube. So look, thanks for watching my videos. Please like and subscribe. I'm trying to build my YouTube, which by the way, has exploded for me the last month. So thank you if you're a new follower and you're enjoying my content, because I've gained like 500 new subscribers in the last 28 days. And that is the most I've ever gained in a 28-day period. So I super appreciate you. Please like, subscribe, leave comments. If you're a troll, you know what's going to happen to you. And have an awesome day. Rock on, everybody. Be safe. And please take a kid flying. Show them how cool model aviation is. See you next time.